Good morning. Here at the Universal Church of Farmington, every day in every way, we bid you welcome. In this community of radical inclusion, we make space for what you believe. We make space for what you believe, who you are, what you love, and who you love. Your whole self is welcome here. It is important that you showed up today. Gathering in community is an act of rebellion against isolation and hopelessness. Knowing this to be true, please repeat after me. We are rebels for hope. We are rebels for hope. And we need to be that more than ever. That we are. My name is Helen Smith, and I am your service leader today. My pronouns are she and her. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether in person or watching online. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. After the service, we invite you to stay for coffee and conversation and chili downstairs in our reception hall. Please take a moment now to silence your phones, but we encourage you to share your presence with us on social media. And we have a few announcements. The chili cook-off is happening today after services. Taste a variety of different chili, vote for your favorites, and socialize with your fellow UUs. Admission is $10 for adults, $5 for children under 12. Kids under 5 are free. Next Sunday, January 18th, we'll be joining our UU friends at Birmingham United Church, BUC, for the Martin Luther King Day service in lieu of meeting here, so please do not come here next Sunday. The Social Justice Committee is asking for your support for 2 ongoing projects. Please bring diapers in all sizes and wipes for the little ones in the shelter, and food or household items for our little free pantry. Details about both of these projects can be found in the weekly e-blast. Please bring any donations in or near the red bin in Adams Hall. And I thank you so much, and I want to thank you personally for all your donations since we've started doing this project. And I just want to share a little quick story. On Friday, my grandson William came home after work. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and he burst through the door. He said, "Grandma!" And when he says grandma like that, it's like, okay, something's urgent. He said, "Grandma!" He said, "I met someone today. He's living in his car. He doesn't have any food." He said, "I took him to your pantry. We picked up a few things." He said, "He's here with me now. He needs a place to stay, and he needs more." So he said he's going to spend the night in our spare bedroom. I said, okay. Okay. So in walks Zaman, and this poor kid, I don't know how long he has been living in his car, looked rough. I couldn't even identify any features on him other than a beard and glasses that were so dirty and broken, and it was just heartbreaking. So I said, okay, you got stuff in the pantry. I've got my backseat of my car is packed full of stuff to stock the pantry on Sunday. Go in there, take what you need, and then, of course, we unloaded our pantry at home. So Zaman walked out with 2 big boxes of food, some extra stuff. My son ended up hiring for work that day and Saturday, so he's got a little money in his pocket. So I just want to share that people are using that pantry, and they desperately need that pantry. So thank you so much for all your generous donations. As far as opportunities for connection this week, Monday night there's a choir and an AA meeting. Tuesday there's a men's lunch. Wednesday evening, membership meeting. And Thursday at noon is the daytimers lunch. I will now light the chalice. We begin service by lighting the chalice, which is the symbol of the faith that we share, with the words from our mission statement. Please join in reading our mission statement in unison. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, and live with compassion. Our opening hymn is number 134. Please rise and body our spirit as you are able, and we will do the first 3 verses.
Touches manifest the soul, the seas
like to have Argo come up and show us the Wonder Box today.
It's actually not a Wonder Box today. It is a message for all ages. I have a physical book today, so if anyone would like to come up to see the pictures better, you can come up and sit on these steps or on the stage. This book is called Miss Betty, What Is This? And it says, How Detroit's School Lunch Lady Got Good Food on the Menu. So this book, before we get started, is about Betty Wiggins. She attended Wayne State University, which is in Detroit, and she worked as a lunch server in Detroit Public Schools all the way up to become their nutrition director. She was nicknamed Detroit's Rebel Lunch Lady in 2009. And I'm going to teach us 2 words before we get started, okay? So these are words to keep in mind while we're reading it. They might help us understand the story more. The first one is food literacy. Food, I know, it's a confusing one. Food literacy is the understanding of the food system and what you're eating. So if you don't have food literacy, it would mean you don't really understand the impact of what you're eating could have on your body. We see that a lack of food literacy is more common in areas with high concentration of poverty or struggling communities, and this leads to those communities having higher risks of chronic dietary-caused diseases. And the other word is one you might have heard around here when we're talking about the free pantry, and that is food insecurity, which is a term for when an individual, family unit, or a greater community does not have stable or reliable access to food. Okay, now we can get started. So keep those words in mind. Eyes closed, Betty Wiggins could still see the lunches she brought to school when she was a girl. Paper-wrapped sandwiches filled with leftover Sunday roast, fresh cucumbers right off the vine, small hand pies fried with apples Betty picked in the orchard. She could smell the rich, sweet aroma of the sun and earth that nourished the things that grew on her family's farm in Whitaker, Michigan. She could taste her mother's care in preparing this food. Betty's mother knew, a hungry child can't learn. Miss Betty opened her eyes and looked at the lunch on the tray in front of her. Everything on it was beige. The iceberg lettuce, the chicken nuggets, the slices of bread, the apple slices that darkened when they were taken out of their little plastic bags. It all smelled salty and a little stale. And it tasted as beige and bland as it looked. If Miss Betty ate it, she would be full, but she would not feel nourished. All around her in the cafeteria, boys and girls were staring at their bland, beige lunches. They poked the lettuce leaves with their forks. They squished the bread into little balls and tossed them at their friends across the table. They nibbled some nuggets and ate some apple slices. They guzzled sugary chocolate milk. Their bellies were sort of full, but they didn't feel nourished by what they had eaten. Miss Betty knew an unnourished child can't really learn any more than a hungry one can. Miss Betty was the lunch lady for 46,000 kids in the city of Detroit, Michigan. She had a big job on her hands. She needed to figure out how to make the lunches on the cafeteria trays look and taste and feel like the lunches in her memory. I want to feed kids good food, she said. Food like what she grew up on. That was pretty much all she thought about. But good food was unfamiliar to some kids in the cafeteria. And what good was good food if they would not eat it? Miss Betty knew that to change school lunch, she had to get kids excited about it, and that meant starting slow. So she started by getting rid of the beige, watery iceberg lettuce. No one would miss that. She replaced it with ruffly, dark green romaine leaves. Seeing it on the trays, the kids wanted to know, Miss Betty, what is this? Romaine lettuce, said Miss Betty. What does it taste like? A few kids stabbed the leaves with their forks. They took the tiniest bites. It tastes like grass, they said, wrinkling their noses. And days and weeks went by. Miss Betty saw that kids were taking bigger and bigger bites of the romaine leaves on their trays. It was time to make another change. On farms across Michigan, it was asparagus season. Miss Betty visited local growers. She brought their asparagus to replace the beige, limp string beans on the lunch trays. The kids in the cafeteria wanted to know, Miss Betty, what is this? That's asparagus, she said. It looks like a treetop, they said, frowning. And I love treetops, says Miss Betty. She picked up a stalk with her fingers and took a big bite. Delicious. The kids weren't so sure, but some of them started to ask, when are we getting treetops again? Miss Betty knew it was time to make another change. Miss Betty got a local orchard to sell her big, juicy apples. She swapped them for the beige, tasteless apples on the lunch trays. The kids didn't ask about the apples. They just ate them fast. One boy said, Miss Betty, can I have another apple? He came back after lunch and said, Miss Betty, can I have another apple? He came back at the end of the day and said, Miss Betty, can I have another apple to bring home to my little brother? And Miss Betty gave him half a dozen apples. Weeks and months went by. Miss Betty swapped soggy French fries for baked sweet potato fries. When the kids asked, what is this? She told them how French fries come from potatoes and sweet potato fries come from sweet potatoes. French fries are potatoes? One boy said. Miss Betty realized she had to make another change. How could she teach her kids about good food if they didn't know where good food came from? Across Detroit, people were starting gardens in empty lots. Miss Betty decided she would start a garden too. She found her own empty lot behind a school. She persuaded the principal to let her use it. She visited some of the buildings that were crumbling around Detroit, backed up her car, and piled bricks into her trunk. The bricks would form the planting beds of her new garden. She persuaded the school board to buy her tools to build her garden and to hire interns to help her tend to it. She made the board promise that teachers would use her garden to teach kids about good food, not just grow pretty flowers. Some of the bigger kids also came to work in the garden. Miss Betty, what is this? They asked about the small purple tomatoes. Miss Betty, what is this? They asked about the pale yellow carrots. Miss Betty, what is this? They asked about the bumpy green squashes with fuzzy stems. Tomatoes, carrots, zucchini, said Miss Betty. The kids took big bites of these vegetables the color of gems, and they all agreed, delicious. They cheered when Miss Betty told them their cafeteria would have a salad bar filled with crops from this garden. There was a problem. The principal said that only the bigger kids could eat at the salad bar. It was their reward for working in the garden. The younger kids thought they should be able to get good, fresh food too. So they staged a protest in the cafeteria. They carried signs that said, "Give us our salad bar." The protest made Miss Betty smile and smile. Her kids knew what it was to be fed and nourished. They knew that good food was worth fighting for. Months and years went by. Miss Betty swapped in turkey burgers for hamburgers. She swapped in chicken for pieces for chicken nuggets. She swapped in plain milk for chocolate milk. She added rice and beans and jicama and snap peas to the lunch menu. She didn't stop there. Miss Betty fiddled with school breakfast, serving up blueberry yogurt parfaits every Wednesday. She started a school dinner program, giving kids sit-down family-style meals. She opened 80 school gardens all across Detroit. By now, almost every kid in town had eaten the good food Miss Betty prepared for them. At last, her work here was done. Now, Miss Betty was ready to find the next group of kids to nourish. Looks like she's driving to Texas. And that is Miss Betty, what is this? So, I did a little extra research because I wanted to see what she did in Texas. So she moved on to do the same work she did in Detroit in Houston, Texas. They had very similar needs. They needed help with their food literacy, so helping understand the whole food system, and food insecurity, so providing those breakfasts and free lunches and dinners to the families who need it. All right, so that is our book for today. And we'll also, one more thing, we'll think about how this book might relate to our monthly theme of practicing resistance. Something to keep in your mind. All right, now I believe we will rise. And if you are in a row with the rainbow arch, you can set it up. And we will sing our children's recessional as you go. The lyrics might be projected on the screen.
Through the sharing of joys and sorrows, we make space every Sunday for authentic and vulnerable sharing, which helps to build this congregation into beloved community. We make space every Sunday for authentic and vulnerable sharing, which helps to build this congregation. Oh, it's the same sentence. I just got the script this morning, so. We are invited to share what's going on in your life, to name your feelings and the people in your heart in need of prayer, good energy, best wishes, or other help. You are welcome to pick up a stone or stones from the table, infuse or charge it with your joy or sorrow, and place it in the singing bowl, where its energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to verbally share something important in your heart, please come up and speak directly into the microphone. All are welcome to participate in any of these ways. We light 3 candles for the intentions that rest in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. One for the joys, one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace. Our meditation today is a responsive reading called Defend Immigrants, Defend Us All by Reverend Tess Baumberger and Rabbi Margie Klein Ronkin. Please join us all in a call and response prayer. After each line, please respond with, "Defend immigrants, defend us all." Let's just practice that for a sec. Defend immigrants, defend us all. Today we lift up our immigrant neighbors, so many of whom embody the love and courage of our faith traditions, encourage us to grow. Defend immigrants, defend us all. We gather as people of faith and people of conscience who take seriously the commandment to love your neighbors as yourselves. We value compassion, kindness, decency, and fairness towards all people, citizens, legal residents, documented and undocumented alike. We know that all people are deeply connected, our destinies woven together like roots of trees, and that what happens to one affects all of us. We know the richest people in our country deny this truth, using fear and hatred to create false divisions among us. I find myself getting angry and angrier the more I read this. They do this because they fear the power we would have if we united to demand fairness and to demand our rights across differences of race, class, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, and citizenship status. They divide and distract us while they hoard wealth and power, leaving the rest of us poorer and more desperate. We see through their smoke and mirrors. We say no to their lies and their hatred. We say no to every vision of a world where some life matters more than others. Instead, we hold up a vision of a world where everyone is free and has an equal chance at a good, safe, peaceful, healthy life on a good, safe, peaceful, healthy planet. We envision a world where people care for others and contribute to their communities as generously as so many of our immigrant neighbors. We call all Americans to wake up to the truth, to open our eyes to the lies, and to stand up for the rights of immigrants, the rights we all share. We call our leaders to wake up, to reflect honestly on themselves and our society, and to commit to this ethical revolution. We call ourselves and one another to find the courage to become our best selves, the sorts of people who love our neighbors as ourselves, and treat each other with kindness, dignity, and grace. In the name of all people around the world, we pray for courage to live out our vision of a better world. May it be so, and let the people say, Amen. Our meditation song will be hymn number 362, Rise Up, O Flame, and we're going to do the first 4 verses.
Three times? We're going to do it 3 times.
Oh, this one 3 times?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a. Rise up, O
Our offering words are by Kayla Parker. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world than they could have ever done. May this offering sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. You may also give online via the QR code on the back of the order of service. The morning offering will now be graciously received. Please join me in reciting the offertory blessing that can be found in your order of service. To the work of creating beloved community within and beyond these walls, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings. I would like to now have two of my fellow Social Justice Committee members come up and give some readings, Barb Ivan and Jill McGlincy.
Thank you. I have a quote here. We stand by as children starve by the millions because we lack the will to eliminate hunger. Yet we have found the will to develop missiles capable of flying over the polar ice cap and landing within a few hundred feet of their target. This is not innovation. It is a profound distortion of humanity's purpose on Earth.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead.
I would now like to welcome another Social Justice Committee champion to speak, Yvonne Wyborny.
Good morning. On Monday, December 29th, it was snowing with high winds. Mike DeMott and I were out delivering boxes of food to families in the Farmington Hills area. This Christmas break was a perfect storm. There are about 300 people, families, young people, that are struggling with homelessness in the Farmington Hills area. School was out, so children would not be able to get their breakfast or lunch at school. I also learned that many food pantries are closed between Christmas and New Year's. For many families that receive SNAP, the food stamp benefits, these benefits run out before the end of the month. Reverend Karen and others in the interfaith group, plus other members in the community, came up with a plan to ensure families had enough to eat. There were about 20 or 30 people that were at the Farmington Goodfellows warehouse on Monday morning, sorting food and getting ready to deliver boxes. Over 100 boxes of food were sent to the Gathering Church in Farmington Hills, and over 60 boxes of food were delivered to families in our community. Mike and I received many thank yous and a couple of hugs from the families that we delivered food to. And thank you to all the members of our church who contribute and refill our little food pantry outside our church. And interestingly enough, when I was getting off the expressway today to come here, there was, I don't know if anybody else saw it, there was a mother and a child at Grand River when you got off of M5, and then there was another mother and a couple children at the corner of Grand River and Halstead collecting money today. In April and May of 2025, the World Food Program had to halt support for 63% of refugees in Uganda when the U.S. cut humanitarian aid from $200 million to $38 million. It was cut to 19% of what had originally been appropriated. In Uganda, Alina, 27-year-old mother, told journalist Nicholas Kristof that her husband abandoned the family in May after the World Food Program assistance ended. With no food in the house, her 1-year-old son, John Abraham, began to fade away. American aid cuts had made ambulance service unreliable, so she carried John for 3 hours to a health center. John was diagnosed with severe acute malnutrition and dehydration, but doctors told her that the health center had run out of necessary supplies to help. John Abraham died on August 7th. His mom is now eight months pregnant and caring for her 3 surviving children. It was afternoon when Nicholas Kristof interviewed her. He asked what she and her 3 children had eaten so far that day. Nothing, she said. What did you eat yesterday? Nothing, she said. 2 days earlier, she said a bit defensively, she and the children had eaten several bananas that a neighbor had given them. When we look back in time, we have been making remarkable progress in reducing child deaths around the world. Back in the 1990s, over 16 million children around the world died each year from hunger and preventable diseases. That's almost 44,000 children dying each day. The good news is that in the last 30-plus years, we have cut preventable child deaths by over 2/3. In the last 30-plus years, we've made remarkable progress. In 2023, we lost over 5 million children due to hunger and preventable diseases. That amounts to about 13,000 children dying each day. Almost half of all of these child deaths are attributed to hunger and malnutrition. And we had major plans to continue improving those numbers and reducing the number of child deaths. Then in early 2025, the White House dismantled our USAID, our U.S. Administration for International Development. And most of all that work fell apart. and the related NGOs, the non-governmental agencies, lost their funding. Allegedly, USAID was dismantled to reduce government spending, but foreign assistance has always been less than 1% of the US budget. So eliminating USAID did little to reduce federal government spending. Globally, some 86% of USAID contracts have been canceled. According to the Center for Global Development, estimates of the death toll from the Trump administration cuts vary. A recent study published in the Lancet, a medical journal, estimated that the cuts will cost the lives of about 690,000 children under age 5 in 2025 and 829,000 child deaths in 2026. The study estimated that some 3.1 million children under age 5 will die during this administration's second term. So that's 3.1 million children because of its cuts to humanitarian assistance. This amounts to 88 children dying each hour due to these cuts to foreign aid. President Jimmy Carter established the Presidential Commission on World Hunger on September 5th of 1978. What the commission found was that we have all the tools that are needed to end hunger around the world. The only thing we lack is the political will to end hunger. Political will includes the letters and emails that you have signed and sent in support of Medicaid and SNAP, the food stamp program, and life-saving Medicaid, and the life-saving foreign assistance. Thank you for your participation. Your voice makes a huge difference to our elected officials. The source of information for these letters and emails was from Results, an organization I've been volunteering with for over 25 years. Results is a citizens advocacy group that has been working for the end of hunger and poverty for over 45 years. There are Results volunteers in all 50 states, so there are citizens lobbying for the same programs that we are throughout the country with their members of Congress too. Many of us within UCF have participated with Results when we've signed letters or sent emails. There are also Results volunteers and Results groups in Canada, the UK, Australia, and Japan. And we also have action partners across 5 continents. Earlier this year, the US House released its foreign assistance bill for fiscal year 2026. The key House committee ignored the administration's proposal for funding. Instead, their budget fully restores, and in some cases, increased funding for our priority global health accounts. I don't know if there's, okay, thank you, Desi. So that you can see the slide up here. On the left is the Trump administration's budget proposal for this fiscal year. Global education, vaccines, and nutrition were zeroed out. Maternal and child health were gutted. Fighting infectious diseases slashed in half. And then something remarkable happened. The key House committee ignored the administration's proposal. Instead, their budget fully restored, and in some cases, increased funding for our priority global health accounts, which include nutrition. That's not all. Dozens of terminated global health programs were restarted across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The Senate rejected the administration's proposed cuts, rescissions to AIDS, TB, malaria, and maternal and child health programs. Bipartisan members of Congress are rallying behind Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. And in a stunning turnaround, the administration last fall made a new multi-year pledge of $4.6 billion to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB, and malaria. That was after last year they said they weren't going to pledge anything. And it included the longstanding U.S. match. Here are some examples of what this funding for global health has meant in the last few months. Tons of emergency therapeutic food was delivered to 13 countries to treat nearly 1 million severely malnourished children. It's this little They have these little packets. Sometimes it's called Plumpy Nut. A lot of it was made in the US. And it's got this peanut paste, and it's also got vitamins and minerals in it. And so when children are severely malnourished, they can't eat normal food. So it's what really helps them recover and saves their lives. The administration rolled out a plan to provide nearly 2 million people with access to game-changing new HIV preventative medicine. Brand new TB testing and treatment programs are now up and running in 6 countries. These are examples of how our voices and our pens demonstrate our political will and show that you can make a difference. There's no minimizing that the administration's rash actions continue to have deadly impacts. 2025 is the first year in the century that child deaths have increased around the world. It will take years of focused advocacy to fully recover. And untold lives have already and will be lost in that time. Yet the breakthroughs we saw this year show what's possible and what we need to do to make that recovery and even greater progress a reality. On the domestic side, it was difficult to watch as the government would not fund SNAP, the food stamp program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program during the government shutdown, especially when they had no reason to eliminate SNAP funding. Also in the big beautiful bill that I call the big ugly bill, approximately 4 million people in a typical month will lose some or all of their SNAP food stamp benefits once the changes are fully implemented based on the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO estimates. They include families with children, older adults, people with disabilities, and veterans. This bill applies work requirements to vulnerable populations, such as older adults age 55 through 64, and parents with children age 14 and older for the first time. It also removes exemptions for veterans, people experiencing homelessness, and young people who have recently aged out of foster care. Unless they can document 20 hours per week of work or participation in a narrow set of work activities or prove they qualify for an exemption, these individuals will only receive SNAP for 3 months in a 3-year period. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that 1.4 million people will be cut off SNAP in a typical month when fully in effect. Work requirements don't address the real barriers that keep people from finding stable employment. They ignore systematic issues like racial discrimination, lack of childcare, lack of transportation, and shortage of living wage jobs. Therefore, work requirements push people deeper into a cycle of low-wage, volatile, unstable work. More than 46% of SNAP recipients in Michigan, so almost like half, are in working families. In Michigan, 15%, or 1 in 7 Michiganders, receive some SNAP benefits. According to recent numbers from 2023, 13% of households in Michigan were food insecure, meaning their access to adequate food is limited by a lack of money or resources. In 2024, the average monthly SNAP benefit for each household was $173 for a month. That translates to $5.69 in benefits per day. Currently, the federal government covers 100% of SNAP benefits, while states share administrative costs, which are typically split 50-50 with the federal government. The proposed big ugly bill would require states to cover a minimum of 5% of SNAP benefits starting in fiscal year 2028. States with high SNAP error rates would pay up to 25%. And what I just learned on our call yesterday, the high SNAP error rates, a lot of it is because just like our state and a lot of other states, the computer systems are really archaic, and the software is really old, and that's why a lot of there's these high error rates. The federal share of administrative costs would drop from 50% to 25%, with states having to contribute up to 75% of administrative costs. This shift would push states into cost containment mindset, giving them financial incentives to restrict eligibility and reduce participation, even if the need for benefits remains high. And so what we learned on our Results National webinar yesterday is that some states are already saying they may end participation in SNAP altogether. It doesn't make sense to cut these benefits for low-income Americans to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. And the food pantries around the country cannot replace what is being taken away by the federal government. Why does the richest nation want to starve its poorest people? And the administration has decided to end the USDA Household Food Security Report. This decision comes on the heels of sweeping harmful cuts to SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, cuts that will make it harder for millions of people to be able to afford food. By eliminating the only comprehensive government-backed survey that tracks food insecurity in the United States, the USDA is effectively ensuring that the devastating consequences of these cuts will be harder to measure and easier to ignore. Thank you for everyone that sent emails or phone calls to oppose the big, ugly bill. We oppose cuts to Medicaid as well as cuts to SNAP, the food stamp program. We weren't entirely successful, but the US Senate listened to us. After Congress decided to end the government shutdown, the Senate passed a minibus bill. It's like a small appropriations bill, small budget bill, that included fully funding SNAP and WIC, the program for women, infants, and children through the end of September of 2026. Thank you for your support of these anti-hunger programs. Also, we appreciate your support of the Crop Hunger Walk. Keep doing what you're doing. If you'd like to do more, check with us in the Social Justice Committee. Sign up upcoming letters in support of these life-saving programs. Continue to voice your opinion in the political process. As a guest and longtime advocate on our national webinar on Saturday said, you as constituents, voters, can make a difference. In fact, you're the only ones that can make the change. We saw it when 17 Republicans in the US House voted last week to extend the tax credits for 3 more years with the Affordable Care Act. You can make a difference. With an election coming up, they care what you think. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. For our closing hymn, please rise as embody your spirit. For our hymn from the great hymnal, numbers 170, we are a gentle, angry people, and we'll do 4 verses.
Singing for our
We extinguish this chalice with an open heart. We are building a better world together. We are becoming better people together. We are living our lives together. We don't have to do it alone.